After losing my 50-50 on Chinny for a Soldier 11 and also getting sold on Jane, I had to embrace Anby as my only stunner. And I know a lot of players are in a similar situation. So in today's video, we're going to take a closer look at Anby, her combos, her flaws, and most importantly, how to optimize your damage and stun on the enemy depending on the situation. Ready? Let's go! Anby is a free stun unit that relies on combos for maximum Daze output. Just like every stunner in the game, she gets impact and attack on leveling up her core skill. While this isn't a video about every single stunner in the game, it's important to note that Anby is the only unit that can't offer any kind of DPS increase for your team. Anby requires not only a higher field time but also enough room to use her basic attack string in order to increase the damage she will inflict on the enemy. This can be quite difficult against aggressive enemies since Anby rarely will find room to use 3 basic attacks before using her EX special attack. Her dodge counter is quite fast and also gives a single basic attack skip, meaning that after using your dodge counter, you follow up with basic attack 2. Both defensive assist and dash attacks also give the exact same skip. This makes it easier for the next string to hit basic attack 3 and launch an EX special on the enemy. Not to mention that her additional ability will also recover a good energy for her. Some players point out that basic attack 4 has a higher Daze multiplier than Thunderbolt, and this can lead to some wrong conclusions. Basic attack 4 indeed has a higher Daze multiplier than Thunderbolt, however, this doesn't mean that basic attack 4 inflicts more Daze than Thunderbolt. That's because her core skill empowers your Thunderbolt but not basic attack 4. And as you can see, this huge field time ends up reducing your total DPS. Burst DPS units such as Ji-Yuan, Korin, and even Billy to an extent can play along Anby without a problem. That's because outside of the stun window, these units tend to lack damage and losing field time to Anby isn't going to be that bad. Does this mean that you can't run Anby with a sustained DPS like Alan, Soldier 11 or Nekomata? You can, but you're probably going to find yourself in some tight situations. That's because Anby can run as a burst stunner, however, you need to rely on her passive energy regeneration, and this can be a little problematic for her EX special that costs 60 energy. For burst rotation, you focus mostly on just using defensive assist and follow-ups with an occasional EX special after your follow-up. You can simply swap after starting your EX special animation, so overall you do some good amount of Daze on the enemy over 2.6 seconds. For a more on-field Anby, this can be a bit hard to calculate since the enemy aggression is going to change how you are rotating your skills. But for my calculations, I used a defensive assist into follow-up, followed by basic attack 2, 3, and 4 into a dodge counter, basic attack 2 and 3 into an EX special, finishing with Thunderbolt. This whole combo takes around 9 seconds, so you can see how long Anby field time can be. So for skill upgrade priority, depending on how you're playing Anby, this can change a little bit. If you plan to use her as a burst DPS and don't care for her combo mechanic, then you can easily ignore her core skill and focus only on your EX special and assist. That's all you're going to use on Anby, so everything else can be upgraded as needed or completely ignored for saving your resource. For standard on-field stunner, you still want to level up your EX special, but assist takes a lower priority since Anby will stay on the field and won't use assist that much. Anby's core goes at least up to C. You don't need to rush leveling up her core skill because it takes weekly materials and you get a better return leveling up your DPS unit first. Then you can get to level up basic attacks and dodges. Chain attacks can be left at the end because there's no need for you to use either her chain attack or ultimate. For these stats, you're probably going to run Shockstar Disco 4-piece effect, but that only works if you're going for Anby as an on-field stunner. She uses a lot of basic attacks and this means you get some nice extra Daze on rotations. However, if you're not fielding her at all, then you can go for Proto-Punk, which is going to be released on the 1.2 update. The 2-piece effect will be useless, however, adding 15% damage on your DPS can be quite interesting. The other option here would be a classic no 4-piece and use 3 different 2-piece sets. For 2-piece sets, we have Swing Jazz, Shockstar Disco, Hormone Punk, Thunder Metal, Freedom Blues, and Chaos Jazz as options. I personally recommend you to use Swing Jazz, Shockstar Disco, and Hormone Punk, but feel free to just pick up the best set you can find. As for disc main stats, disc 6 is the most important one. Here you need to make a decision between going for energy regeneration or impact, but I highly recommend you to going for impact here because energy regeneration can be found in some weapons. Disc 4 and 5 are not a high priority unless you are trying to increase Anby's damage. In this case, disc 4 is going to be attack percentage. Going for crit is fine, but low crit ratio won't help you that much. So unless you get a lot of crits from substats and other sources, I wouldn't recommend you going for crit. For disc 5, the best option is an electric damage disc. However, if you can't find one for the right set you're using, then going for attack percentage is completely fine. Next up, we have weapons, and there's a lot of different options. Some people say that Anby's signature is really bad, and while I definitely agree, I find it really fun to use it when pairing with an energy regeneration disc. You can easily get a lot of energy while playing this and spend EX special on almost every rotation. Besides that, it's also the best damage option between all available engines. But moving to the general best options, Collider's engine is the best option for Anby. However, not everyone will be able to pick this, so Steam Oven gets to shine. It's craftable and you can easily 5-star it. Fossilized core is super situational because the lower the enemy HP, the lower the effect. If you're bursting the enemy in a single stun or maybe 2 stun window, then this can be a great option for you. Lycan's engine is good for some extra damage, but this potential is not that great. Now to finish it up, let's take a quick look on Anby's Mindscapes. Mindscape 1 gives a boost for Anby's energy generation rate, which is different from energy regeneration. Just a quick note here, this requires you to use Anby's basic attack 4 and won't work with Thunderbait. Mindscape 2 gives Anby a bit of extra days on her X special. It also gives some extra damage, but you hardly use Thunderbolt on a stunned enemy because if the enemy is stunned, you'll be playing your DPS instead. Mindscape 4 is quite weird, to be honest. A field electric agents recover some energy when Anby uses her chain attack or ultimate, and scales with her energy generation rate, meaning that you need to use her signature weapon to increase this energy for your other units. Honestly, I don't find any use for now. Maybe mono electro teams could use this, but overall, it's a really strange Mindscape. And finally, Mindscape 6 empowers Anby's damage output, but it's not a huge DPS increase. Maybe if you're playing her with a real DPS build, you could find some interest increase here. However, this is a topic for maybe another video. And this sums up everything about Anby. Despite being easily shadowed by other S-rank stunners, she's still super solid and can deal against electro-weak enemies without a problem. Not to mention that she still pairs really well on GU1 teams for free-to-play players or for those who skip Chingy. If you found this video helpful, remember to give it a like, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below or jump into the Discord server. As always, thanks for watching, have a beautiful day, and I see you in my next video.